Hello everyone. Today we're making a perpetual calendar. The date rings we're making out of ash, and the front plate, back plate hanger is out of maple. And that plastic pad is new for us. It's actually my old desk chair pad or floor pad. It was starting to curl up, so I was going to get rid of it, but then I thought I'd try it out for gluing, and it actually worked quite well. It really came off good, so this might be a new tool for us in the in the workshop. For cutting the rings, I used the router and just a simple 1/4 inch plywood as my jig. I thought I would just use the palm router because I already had a somewhat jig made for it already, and I didn't feel like making one for the quarter router, but this kind of wood wasn't a match for the little palm router, so I had to switch over to the quarter router and make a little 1/4 inch plywood jig for that, and it worked quite well. Didn't take too long to cut all these rounds with the that, but unfortunately my bit was a little bit too short, so I actually had to cut 3/4 of the way through and then flip it over and do it from the other side to finish it all up. Now I couldn't make my jig to cut down to the smallest ring size that I needed, so I moved it over to the tabletop router and finished it up there. That didn't take too long either, making sure I'd go a little bit at a time. And of course I I ended up putting the adjuster underneath the fence, so I had to move the fence every time I wanted to adjust it, but it didn't take too long just to do all that. And of course near the end, once I did start getting through the whole piece, then I made sure to leave some notches so that that last little piece doesn't get jammed between the router bit and the pieces of wood there. And of course, like any true woodworking job, there's lots of sanding. I didn't bore you with how much sanding there would have to be done. And of course, rounding the edges using the tabletop router again. And then you got all those rings all nicely rounded up and sanded up. Now, unfortunately, when I tried using that palm router, that wasn't strong enough. It kind of twerked and jammed, and it ended up making this notch on the side. So using my primitive chiseling technique here just to try to get it as square as possible so that I can glue in a piece of wood to try to fill it in. And I tried to get that little piece of wood to match the grain and the color as best as I can. It's wasn't 100%, but you know, it did a good job of filling it in with actual same wood so that it's fairly not noticeable, and I actually did put it towards the back end of it as well. And I just put some glue and clamp it up, and then the next day we'll sand it right down nice and smooth. And now we move on to the laser engraving. So I was doing some tests there to make sure I have the right size fonts and depth of the engraving. Here I'm just putting some paper because I need to line up those rings to center them properly so that they will engrave in the right spot. Of course, this project was right to the limit of our laser engraver, so I didn't cut the paper where the ring will actually be placed to save the proper alignment, but because of the engraving is not right to the edge, it actually was okay because it was still within the usable space of the laser engraver. So I'm just making sure that everything's lined up. Now if I had a camera, it would have been a whole lot easier. I can just sort of place it in there and center it by using the camera, but we don't have one for the laser yet, so we're just doing it the old school way. And now it's time to make the faceplate and backplate hanger part of the calendar. Made some template out of cardboard first to line the holes or the openings, and then I just used the drill method of making multiple holes to knock those sections out instead of trying to use a drill press that I'd have to pull out and get all set up. So I just figured I'll just drill 1,000 holes here, and then get the jigsaw out and cut them out, and then we'll use the router to clean it all up. And now it's time to dry fit and line everything up so that I can actually put the spacers that the rings will hang on and slide on. Decided to use the pieces that I ended up cutting out as part of the hangers, so that all has the same angle, which worked out really well. Now of course, being that I use the same wood as the rings, it's going to be the same thickness, so I actually would have to make those pieces of wood a little bit thicker by adding a 1/8 inch piece of plywood to it as well to get a little bit thicker, maybe allowing some space between the back plate and the front plate. course, it wouldn't be a proper glue up job if I didn't get glue all over the place. Quick wipe up, and luckily it's going to be a hidden area, so I wasn't too worried. But yeah, definitely always have that glue coming out. And of course we do the last final fitting to make sure everything hangs properly before we actually glue everything together, and of course before we do all the staining. So here we're using the Danish oil. I'm just using a stick to fill in all the numbers and lettering so it really soaks into the graving before I spread out the excess all over the wood. And that Danish oil really brings out the nice grain of all that ash, so I really love it. And there you have it, everyone. A perpetual calendar made from ash and maple. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you like, please hit the like button. And of course, subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see some more of these projects. We try to get some out here and there in between all of the other work that we do. This one was a special request, and we enjoyed doing it, and that's why we'd like to share these sort of one-offs with you people here on YouTube. So again, hope to see you soon if you've subscribed, and hit that notification bell if you'd like to see when we make another video in the near future. Talk to you later.